Hi! Over the last few months I've been making fabric books, and today I thought I'd show you some of them, particularly those that I've put words into. I like to use text in different ways, and in this series of books I've put the words in different ways as well. So we start with this one, which is called Shells, and inside there's a poem, and I wrote the poem and then I printed it on through my inkjet printer onto this pre-prepared organza sheets that go through my inkjet printer, and then I cut it up, and I don't know whether you can see it, but here the little strips of words of the poem. And actually this fabric I dyed and printed, and it has other words sometimes on the pages that are from a Thermofax screen, and I'll come back to how I use Thermofax screens later. I was doing a series of work based on canals. My husband and I have walked along the canal side of many of the canals in the West Midlands, and in looking through a book about canals, I picked out some words and then made those words into a poem, and I had the poem made into the Thermofax screen. This is a Thermofax screen, and these were the words that I had printed onto it. It's just the random words, not the poem, but I do have one of the poem as well. And in the next little bit of the video I'll show you how to use a Thermofax screen. It's made by taking a laser print of your words or your pictures or your diagrams and putting it through a special machine with this film, and where the black is of the laser, it burns the holes into the screen, and then you spread your paint or your Procion dyes through the screen, but it's permanent. You can't remove what's burnt through in the hole. This is a Thermofax screen that I'm going to use. It was made from this group of words that I found when I was doing some active reading in a book about canals. Normally I would print the fabric before I tore it up and stitched it, but this time I thought I'd try an experiment, and I've already stitched some of it, and I'll go back to stitch again after I've printed. And I'm just using ordinary acrylic paint. I like Payne's Grey, and I'm going to use it through the screen, and I will have to wash the screen immediately afterwards, because otherwise the plastic within the acrylic paint will seal up the holes. And I'm not going to print the whole of this in one go. I'm just going to print little bits of the words so they just peek out, and so you just spread it through, and it doesn't show up very much, which is I quite like. It's like the words are hiding within the fabric, and actually the lumps from the stitches are making it more difficult than it is normally, but it is working, so that's fine. And I'll just move it up, have a little bit more paint, and just carry on. And I'm using a squeegee. If you're using the whole of a screen, you can actually put the paint or the dye across the top and then just scrape it all down. But for this I'm using a tray. And I'll just finish with a few more, and I'm just putting them randomly And that's it. So this is the scroll book in its current form, as you saw on the little bit of video on how to use the Thermofax screen. And it will fit onto this bobbin eventually, and I shall sew it on like that, and it could hang on the wall with a string here, or it will roll up, which is why it's called a scroll book. With this same fabric, that's silk noil, I made 2 other books. Now this silk noil, I dyed it in 2 separate ways. One was that I folded it up and tied it up, and I think I put pegs and put it in the dye underneath an ice dyeing system. But the silk noil only took in certain places, and so you get these amazing marks on the silk, which wasn't quite what I intended. Whereas with this other fabric, still the silk noil, this was just screwed up in the bottom of the dye bath, and so it dyed all of the fabric, but still you've got these lovely marks. To do the ice bath, you fold up your fabrics and put them in the bottom of a plant pot, and then you put the ice on top, and then you put the Procyon dye powder sprinkled on the top, and then put it so that it drains into a tray. And as the ice melts, so it takes the Procyon dye through into your fabric. So this book is still about the canals, and it has some of the words printed on with the Thermofax screen. It also has photographs that I've manipulated and then printed onto fabric through my inkjet printer. And this here is Bondaweb that's also gone through my inkjet printer, and then you tear it up and iron it on to the book. And then it has a woven spine where I put all 3 signatures together, and then I wove through where they had been joined together. This book is could be a hanging book, but it's a proper book like this. And I made this machine cord, and when you open it up, inside are folded pages. Now this was done in a similar manner with the Bondaweb and the words, but then there are collages put on and then stitched over, and it opens up. I don't know whether you'll be able to see all of it. It opens up like that, and it's double-sided. And you could hang it up if you wanted to, but mostly this is made to be a concertina book. I was doing some work that was inspired by maps, and this is another one of the books that could be a book or a hanging book, and it's made with dyed cotton and sometimes with breakdown printing, and then it has some words put onto it, and you can hang it up. It has a D-ring here, so you could hang it up, or you could hang it up this way, and it's double-sided, so you could hang it up any way you like, or you can just fold it up and have it as a book. And then whilst I was thinking about maps, I made this book, which is like collaged pages with collage on them. And this was a stencil that I used, and this was some of the breakdown printing, and this is the little collage. And it's also got words on it. This was a poem that I wrote about maps, and it's included in here with all sorts of mixed media collages. And on the front it has a grid, and this is some plastic garden stuff that I just cut up and bound with thread. And here I printed on it with wooden rubber stamps. And this last one is called What 3 Words. I don't know if you know the app called What 3 Words, and it assigns 3 random words to every square metre of the world. So if you go around your house, you'll find in every square metre you stand, it's got a different 3 words. And I was thinking about that and looking back at all the houses that I'd ever lived in, but it got so complicated having 3 words for every square metre that I thought, oh, I'll just choose 3 words that are a memory for that house. And the fabric that I was using was very highly patterned, and I didn't think that the little maps that I was going to sew would show up. So what I did was I drew the little maps on tissue paper and put them under a piece of organza in an embroidery hoop, and then I running stitched the little maps and then sewed it onto the page of the book and printed the words that go, the 3 words that go with the little map, and I printed those with these little stamps and an ink pad that scrapbookers use and card makers. And so this is the story of my life in where I've lived, and I really rather like this, and I want to take this idea further on. I really like using words in my work. Thanks for watching. Bye.